Have you ever looked at your team and thought, wow, we used to move so fast and you used to ship things in days and make decisions quickly, but now things are bottlenecked, teams are misaligned, and everyone still comes to you for every problem? My name is Fahd, and over the last decade, I've helped hundreds of startups scale, whether it's from 10 employees to 50 employees, or from 50 employees to 300 employees. And what I found is that the thing that got you here, the scrappiness, the hustle, the founder doing everything, is the exact thing that will break you in the next stage. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the founder operating system, a 5-step framework that we created here at Unicorn Labs to help founders like yourself grow, scale by building structure and clarity so that you don't lose your speed and your innovation that got you here and made you successful in the first place. Because here's what happens if you don't build this. Your best people start leaving because they don't know what direction the company's headed. Your executives are drowning in decisions that should be made 2 levels down. The quarterly planning that you try to do, or the yearly strategic planning, well, that gets thrown out after 3 weeks of being in a document. And you, the founder, well, you're stuck making decisions and in meetings and not in your zone of genius. This kills the momentum and kills the innovation that you had started this company on. And this is what we need to fix. Our founder operating system, FOS, what we call it for short, has 8 components that I'm gonna walk you through. The first component we wanna look at is vision. And really wanna look at vision alignment. Is where we're headed in 1 year from now, 2 years from now, aligned? Does our team know where we're going? Does each team member see the potential opportunity for their role and where the company is actually headed? Vision is where we like to get things started, and one of the key areas that we diagnose first when we're looking at the bottlenecks within your company. So the second component is strategy. And strategy really is about how we win. How do we translate the vision into an actual winning formula of what customers we focus on, what value we create, who we partner with, and how we capture that revenue? That's strategy. The third part is people. It's the team. What team do we need in order to actually execute on that strategy and get to the vision? How do we want to structure that team? How do we want to empower them? And what kind of skills do we need and capabilities do we need in order to be able to win at our strategy? The fourth part is our challenges. And challenges are important is because oftentimes we can spend time as an executive solving the wrong problems and working on the wrong limiting factors. Understanding what your biggest limiting factor is, understanding what your biggest challenges are gonna be key to actually being able to scale your startup. Number 5 is your metrics. These are your KPIs, these are your scoreboards. They are gonna tell you the health of your company. They're gonna tell you the health of your organization. We wanna be able to establish a dashboard that can give us the right insights. Number 6 is our processes. Now, I'm not talking about detailed SOPs, I'm talking about your playbooks, how you deliver to clients, the playbook of how you produce your product. These are the major flows. What's your sales playbook? What's your marketing playbook? These are your major processes. By having core processes and core systems, we can develop a system that iterates over time and gets better. Number 7 is traction. And traction is your action plan. This is how does a strategy develop into goals that actually cascades all the way down from the top executive team all the way to those who are in the front lines. One of the crazy stats that I've heard from Bain & Company is that less than 17% frontline staff actually know the ultimate strategy that the executives and the team is trying to achieve. And last but not least is your innovation wheel. You want to be able to set up this entire system, but you want the system to constantly be turning so that it's iterating and we're improving vision, and then we're improving strategy, and then we're improving the people we have. We're getting clearer on the challenges that we're facing. We have better metrics. Our processes get better. Our execution and our pace of execution improves, making our products better, giving us better customers, and overall allowing us to build the company that we want to scale. So using these 8 components, we're going to understand how we can actually build this founder operating system so that you can scale your team. So let's take these 8 components of the founder operating system and develop a structure around them so that you know what step to take when and how to make this into a rhythm and a cadence that you can actually implement with your team getting them aligned and getting them scaled the way that you want. The top of this, what we're gonna look at is, we're gonna start with understanding the purpose of why we do what we do. The purpose of an organization is the longest part. It's the part that's supposed to exist for over 100 years. This is the, and I know what you're saying. You're like, Fahd, I got a small company. I'm starting. 100-year purpose feels far. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to worry about it 100 years. It just means that purpose has to be an everlasting thing. I think why you do it, why you do what you do, what you're trying to accomplish in the long run, and not just the actual parts of making money or building product, but actually the reason, the big picture, the motivation behind what you do. What we want to do is we want to develop our vision during your strategic retreat. And so this happens for you when you have your annual strategic retreat. And you want to take, 2 to 3 days to actually do this. Get your team together where you spend time discussing why you do what you do. And that's what purpose ultimately answers. It answers the why question. Once we've answered purpose, we then want to answer the next part. And the next part is vision. If purpose is why we do what we do, vision answers the question of where are we going? If purpose is 100 years, vision is it's 10, maybe 5 years. A vision is when you cast a clear place that you want to be in the future, where you actually want to get to. And look at the word vision. It's got to be visual. Your team has to actually be able to visualize where you're headed and what it's going to be. And this also, you do it during your annual retreat. It's a great time to actually break that in. We've got our purpose. We've got our vision. The next part that we want to get into this is our strategy. We talked about strategy. Strategy is about how you win. So again, I just said it right there. How? It answers the question, how do we actually get there? And strategy is far more tight. If vision is 5 to 10 years, really strategy keeps us 1 to 3 years maximum. It's looking at what are the potential competitive advantages that you have. Why are people going to choose your business? Why are people going to choose your team? Why are people going to choose your vision and where you're headed? And strategy, again, great time for the annual retreat. So really in our annual retreat, we're trying to do this. But here's the thing. We don't want to revisit purpose and vision every annual retreat. We actually want to do purpose and vision sort of once, every few years, and then really, have it secured. It's not something that you want to do that often, but strategy, you want to revisit every year. So this has a looping function. You're constantly revisiting strategy to make sure that you've got the right pieces. So we've got purpose, we've got vision, we've got strategy. And then we need to figure out the people, and the people that are actually going to develop this. Who is going to do this? Who is going to be able to bring this to life? And this is understanding the existing people around you, the team members you already have, but the team members you're going to need and the roles that you're going to need to actually get there. And for people, again, all of this is happening actually in this strategic retreat. You're like, okay, this is awesome, but all of this is happening in one single strategic retreat. But you can see how there's so much information here that what happens is that we get a lot of information here, but then it breaks. What we need to do is we need to translate our strategic retreats into the next part. And the next part is what we call quarterly reviews. And these happen at the beginning of every quarter. Quarterly reviews are just 1 days. They're 1 day, you bring the team together, and what you're doing is you're reviewing the annual strategic plan and the people, and you're asking yourself, are we still on track? So what I want to do in a quarterly review is I want to review strategy, I want to review people, and I want to review goals. So let's talk about goals, because goals starts over here. What we want to break this down is you want to break the strategy down into its pieces. And we want to break it down into its tactics, which really in our case, we're going to call OKRs. And OKRs have two components, the objectives and their key results. And what we want to do here is basically have really clearly defined goals that tell us what are we trying to achieve, objectives, and how are we going to measure whether we've achieved that. And we're going to measure this on a quarterly basis. And so in this case, OKRs are actually defined at the stages of the quarterly reviews. We do this for every 90 days. And so while the 100 years purpose and the 5 to 10 years vision and the 1 to 3 year strategy, when we look at people, it's a 1 year plan of who we need. And when we look at OKRs, it's a 90-day plan of what is the goal that we have in the next 90 days. A lot of teams like to set yearly goals, and yearly goals are great. They're fun. They let you know where you want to go. But we like 90-day goals. And the reason 90-day goals work better for us, it's like if you've ever signed up for a race. You know, if you've got a marathon, you've got a race, you've got a high rocks competition in 90 days. When it's 90 days, you move, you stay on top of it. You know that you have to produce weekly to actually get to the goal. And so our OKRs give us this 90-day review. Now, you take these quarterly reviews and you actually break them down into the monthly scorecard. So what you do is you take these key results that I talked about over here, which are the goals, right? So this is the goals. I take these key results and I produce them into a monthly scorecard. This is just on a spreadsheet. It's an easy monthly scorecard that tells me how am I doing towards my targets? Am I actually moving on my targets? So this is yearly, this is quarterly, this is monthly, and you guessed it, then there is and this weekly is your executive weekly leadership meeting. And at this leadership meeting, what you're doing is you're talking about the commitments, the actual work that's going to be happening week in, week out that drive the results on the monthly scorecards, that drive the OKRs, that drive the actual quarterly strategy, and that feed into the overall vision. On your weekly leadership, what you're talking about is you're talking about what we call sprints. And so we break our OKRs down into sprints and initiatives. These initiatives are the projects that we're all used to. A lot of us are used to working in projects. I gotta get a book done, I gotta get my cards done, I gotta get my video done. See, these are the projects. And so most of us are used to working at a project level. So here's what's currently happening in your team and why you are likely struggling, is that most teams are working at this level. They're working on the initiatives and they're working at the project. And they are going in many different directions. Each team, marketing has some projects, product has some projects, sales has some projects, everyone has a project, and they all sort of know different goals and different things that they're trying to achieve, but they're all trying to achieve what's best for their team. Engineering wants to reduce their technical debt. Product wants to ship more features. Marketing is trying to improve the brand, and sales is trying to increase revenue. And so while they have relationships, they can sometimes compete with each other. And so what happens is, as a founder, you are then brought into the challenges at this initiative's project's level. And so you're stuck dealing with decisions that are 5 layers down and are not actually helping you, because these decisions are what drive the weekly sprints. And so as a founder and as an executive team, you sort of get stuck into these weekly sprints trying to mitigate problems between teams instead of being able to actually develop the correct purpose, the correct vision, the correct strategy with the right people and the right OKRs to drive this through. So how do you manage this system? Well, you manage it through this. Every year, you get your executive team together for a strategic planning retreat for 2 or 3 days to align on the highest levels. Every quarter, you bring the team together and say, do we have the right strategy? Are we developing the right OKRs? Every month, you get them to report on their metrics. Do we have the right metrics? Are we actually moving towards this strategy? And on a weekly basis, they report on the initiatives that are gonna feed into that scorecard. We call this an operating rhythm. If you do this really well, one of the bonus things that you can add to your quarterlies are what we call demo days. And demo days are this powerful way of ensuring that sales, marketing, product, and engineering are all working together. Because demo days forces sales to bring customers in, forces marketing to bring in potential customers, even customer success to bring in existing customers, for product to showcase what they're working on, for engineers to showcase what they're working on. What they do is they create a public-facing event that invites all the different parts of the organization to showcase the next part of the quarterly goals. And what this does is it engages your team and it forces a public deadline that gets people rowing in the same direction. So for this founder operating system to work, as an executive team, you need to pull yourself to the highest level and go step by step to actually create a rhythm and a system that's going to unblock you and get you working in your zone of genius.